Welcome back to the meeting after the meeting, everyone. We're your hosts, David O.
And Eric V.
Today we are joined by our guest, Ange. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, doing good.
I'm really excited because this is the first time I've been in studio with Eric since March. And I missed him.
I do like your mask.
I missed his baby blues staring back at me.
I like your mask.
It's like the first time I listened to the Beatles.
I'm a fan. It's it's skulls and roses. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a Guns and it's like very Poison-esque.
It is a little bit. It's very on brand for me.
Yeah, I mean, like you took Guns N' Roses and Poison and just kind of fucked them together and it made a mask.
Exactly. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's really perfect for the times, I guess.
Anyway,
It sounds like Ed Hardy, but better.
Yeah, because my
That's
wife made
perfect,
it, so
yeah.
it was a lot cheaper than Ed Hardy, for sure.
So, where are you from, Ange?
I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Nice.
I did go to Goucher, actually, so I spent some time in the Towson area. I know we talked about that last time.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Did some shows, and yeah.
I had to miss that podcast for whatever reason. I can't remember, but I'm glad.
It was May. Who knows? Yeah.
I think you were marrying your sister.
Oh, I was.
Oh my God.
That sounds really bad. Anybody who's on there, anybody who's listening, I'm an ordained minister, and I was performing the marriage of my sister and her husband.
Sorry,
Because I referenced my wife like 2 minutes ago, and then you said I married my sister, so the collaboration of those two facts could have really skewed.
I was like, I thought you were from a different county, but okay.
No. I was officiating my sister's wedding. There we go.
That's super cute.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So, when were you first introduced to recovery?
So I went to my very first meeting. I was 16. My aunt brought me to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and it was one of those things where I sat there and I was like, I relate to like what a lot of these people are saying. Only I've never done crack, so I don't think this applies to me. You know, as we do when we're younger. And it wasn't until I was 19 or 20 that I started going to meetings regularly, and I was actually living in Baltimore, going to a lot of meetings in the county area, and I just finally for the first time saw young people wanting to be sober and work in programs. And so 19, 20 is when I really started giving it a shot, and now I'm 29, so that however many years in between to get to where I'm at, where I have over a year sober.
Nice. Awesome. And that you answered my last question, which is how long you've been sober. You said over a year?
Yeah, I hit a year June 18th.
Awesome. Awesome.
Almost a year and a month. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
So,
Thank you.
And so, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell our audience what the topic for tonight's going to be, and let you take it away.
Oh, awesome. I wasn't sure exactly the format for how this should go, but I definitely want to start by saying step 2 is it's basically coming to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And they use the came to believe that power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, because as we know, it's a we program. And so coming to believe that something greater than me can help me to get out of my cyclical alcoholic thinking, spree and remorse, chasing the control to drink into a grave. I mean, there's so many things that having a higher power, just like it's not in my control anymore. Like, it's bigger than me, and I don't have to solve my addiction or my alcoholism on my own. I have a power greater than me today that takes that out of my hands, and I just have to I have my job that I do, but I can just trust that everything's going to be all right as long as I keep doing the next right thing.
Absolutely.
So with step 2, my journey through the years, I've had sustained sobriety, sustained recovery before, and I've worked a number of step 2, 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, I've done the most. I mean, who has, right? Like, it's like the 1, 2, 3, right?
Oh yeah.
So I stay waltzing. So step 2 for me at first was very much like, oh yeah, for sure. all I have to do is say that I could potentially believe something greater than me. Sure, I can do that. And at first, I was very much traditional, a belief in God. You know, even that big man in the sky mentality, I really did have, because I was raised Catholic, and I never had an issue believing in God. I prayed every night as a kid. But it wasn't until I got older that I realized, like, oh, there are some resentments underneath that to unpack, and there are some things. I mean, obviously, I couldn't get it. I couldn't keep it, right?
Yeah.
So I would get it for a couple months and lose it. So when that's happening, there's so many things it could be. But for me, it was I had to dig deep into my concept of a higher power and figure out what was going to work for me and what was going to give me lasting sobriety. And so I think it was, it's 2015. I was sitting on a beach. I wasn't drinking, but I was at a beach wedding that was like, it was like a teacher's wedding, and I was her DJ, and everyone there was drinking. And I was really far away from anyone I knew. We were like, it was just like crazy. I felt very isolated. But what I was doing that was right was I brought my big book. I was calling people as much as I could. And I remember sitting on the beach and having some reflection time while everyone else was, happy houring or whatever. And I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to drink alcohol. But the thing I was struggling with that day was like, well, what am I going to believe in them? Because I don't trust myself. So there's got to be something more than me. And it kind of hit me that, like, my concept of a higher power is time. Because time, it's constantly passing. You can't control it.
Yep.
It's way beyond human power.
Yeah.
It extends infinitely forwards and backwards. It works in nonlinear and linear ways. I mean, there's so much that time is, right? And then the thing that really got me is like, oh, it heals all wounds. Like, with enough time and by doing my job, I can maintain sobriety. So to me, like, time is like God. I don't like to say it like that, but it is a power greater than myself that I believe in and that I trust in.
Yeah.
So as long as I continue to do my job, time's going to keep passing. Like, I have no control over that. And I also find time to be a very neutral higher power, right? There's it's quite powerful, but there's no hate in it, right? Plants die, people die. Time goes on whether we want it to or not. And my favorite, time takes time, bro. I love that one. Oh man, it's so stupid, but when you think about it, it's like, damn, that's mad smart. Yeah. And to me, that just means trusting the process. Like, time takes time. So this time around, coming out of rehab, I got out in like August or something, and I just was sitting there going like, if I just continue to do the things that have been working for me over time, I won't even be thinking about drinking anymore. And it's so true. Like, today, I don't think, I just like, it's not that I don't like, it's not that I blocked alcohol out of my whole mind. Like, I know it exists. It's not my routine. I've continued, and with neuroplasticity, we know the brain can basically reinvent itself. Even in older age.
Yes.
We can like dig into our neurons and rewire them by just doing something new over and over again. And so but that takes time. You can't just wake up in the morning like, yeah, I'm never going to drink again, even though yesterday that was the only thing I had to keep myself together, right? Like, that's all I ever used to deal with my emotions. So obviously I've had to build those skills. And I think in recovery, I've gotten tools over time that I now can pretty much pull out of my pocket with no issue. But it took me a long time to have them like in my holster, so to speak. Like, I knew they were there, but I wouldn't use them. Now I call somebody every day, which, what the hell, like, who is this? Who is she? But it really is, like, it's been a process for sure. I have some pages from, what I know about, should I just keep going? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, keep going.
All right. I don't want to like just be droning on and on. Like,
you're good.
Like, speaking of time, man, I'm tired. No,
there you go.
Yeah. So I think the thing that's been really important to me is understanding that, like, I'm not the solution to my drinking problem. Like, I'm not gonna do it on my own. The whole reason that the first 3 steps are what they are is, like, the first thing is you're admitting that this shit is way out of your control and you can't fix it on your own. So the second step being came to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. It's like, I don't have to trust me to do anything. I have to trust that for me, because of my concept, it's just I have to trust that with time I will have sustained recovery. And that spiritual basis, like that spiritual hole, is what alcohol was trying to fill. The amount that I drink is not the reason I'm an alcoholic. The frequency that I drink is not the reason I'm an alcoholic. Like the reason I identify as an alcoholic is because of a spiritual hole that I had, and that's what AA gives me. That's what like a higher power, a sense of higher power gives me. You know, like they say, just you're drinking a solution, right? Like it really was the way that I dealt with anything. And now my solution sometimes is because I just need time. I need to buy myself time if I'm not sure what to do. I'll take a shower, take a nap, you know, whatever I got, take a walk, but just take some time and just like, all right, like let's think this through, because I'm not stupid and I don't need to be impulsive today. Like I have mad tools, I have mad people in my life that I trust. So that's, for me, my concept of a higher power has been really just, I guess, crucial in me moving further and further away from a drink. I have read the 12 and 12 to work this step, as well as the big book. I think those are just practical things that anyone, I say, should do, but it works for me. So in the 12 and 12, there's like, basically it talks a lot about like coming to believe, as in not every alcoholic who works a good program just automatically had a good concept of a higher power and could trust in it. Yeah. So if you're struggling with it, you're not alone. It so happened to take me like almost 10 years of going around to meetings to figure out what was going to work for me. And so with time, the only thing that kind of stays in my way of acting right sometimes is like there's still the action piece. So the action piece for me is leading with love, and that's kind of how I think of it. It's like, yes, time is my higher power, but what are the principles I'm gonna guide myself on? For me, it's just leading with love, having not only self-compassion but compassion for others. I try to be really gentle with myself and really patient, because I think that's what my higher power would want. I don't think they want me rushing into shit and getting mad when things don't go my way immediately. I'm pretty sure time doesn't really give a shit what happens. So I just have to, you know, remain calm and keep pushing on. I want to give you a quote from this. Okay, so let's move to the big book for a second. So in you can find the actual step 2 in the big book on page 47 is where, like, if you're doing the step, like, that's where you'll find it spelled out. Right in the middle, it says, we need to ask ourselves but one short question. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there's a higher power, that there's a power greater than myself? And pretty much, like, if you are still at a place where you can't believe in something greater than you, just keep reading that We Agnostics chapter until you get so bored that your brain explodes. Like, it gives you so many different options, right? It gives you like so many different ways of thinking about it. And one thing I did wrong was I overthought it, and I really I just was like, oh man, I want to have this all figured out right now. And because what I know now is time takes time. Like, I really needed to just calm the F down, just be like, all right, am I even like slightly willing that there could be something more than me? Like, when it comes down to it, like, I definitely don't, like, I don't make the grass grow. I don't even cut it. I got a landscape guy that does that. You know, like, there's so little that I actually have control over when it really boiled down to it. And it's a perfect segue into step 3, in that once you're at step 3, you realize, okay, I don't have to control everything. Like, I just need to, like, step back. All I have to do is the next right thing and not drink, and I'm gonna be all right. I think that's all I got for now. I don't know. I got some more quotes somewhere.
All right, we can go to the questions if that's cool with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Would you like to go first, Eric, or would you like me to go first?
You can go first, David.
All right. So it was actually, it was pretty funny. Like, as you were talking about, like, leading with love and being compassionate and patient with yourself. I had literally, because I'm sitting here texting myself questions to ask you, I had literally like put, how do you apply time to your third step? And you answered it perfectly. Like because like you said, third step is that action step. And how do you apply that? And you said compassion and love and patience. So that was pretty crazy. Like literally as you were talking about that, I was texting myself. But all right, to my question.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So what place or area do you find like the greatest connection with your higher power? Like, do you like, do you have like a specific room? Do you go to the mountains? Do you go to the beach? Like, is there any like specific place where you feel, I don't know, the presence of your higher power?
Yeah. As far as like a physical location, this is gonna sound so cheesy, but like I said, I was raised mad Catholic, so it was impressed upon me this idea that Jesus is everywhere, and I'm like, even here, right? You're like trolling. You're like, really? Is he under my shoe? But that idea has fully stuck with me, and I do really try to cultivate that practice of I can step out of any situation I'm in and into my brain and just go like, all right, take a minute. Let's get connected back to the fact that like nothing is really that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. Everything passes. Nothing is permanent. And so much of what I did when I was drinking was act impulsively. You know, I'm so glad I'm out of that cycle of like waking up in the morning, feeling like absolute ass, and then being like, I'm not drinking today, no matter what. Like, I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. And then by 2, 3 p.m., I'm like, man, I can't wait to get out of here so I can have a drink. And I do not miss that at all. So because it was that feeling of like, there's no way that the way I feel is temporary. I'm 1,000% going to feel like trash forever. Mm. No one loves me. My job sucks. You know, and obviously part of it too is having gratitude. So being able to focus on the positive, mm-hmm. and being able to step back in any room, anywhere, and go like, all right, like it's all right. Like the higher power got you. This shit's it's not forever. Mm-hmm. But I love being in nature now. I just moved to a neighborhood that's like, I don't know if I should say it. All right, so I've never really lived in a neighborhood this white before. So like, I was walking down the street and this lady was doing yoga outside, listening to that song that was like, this is the story of a girl.
That's hilarious.
It's just like, where do I live right now?
Yeah.
So, like, now there's a river right behind, like, where I live. It's, like, less than half a mile away. So I go there a lot. I spend way more time in the woods than I ever have. Mm-hmm. And having that, I mean, it's hard not to feel grounded when you're in those physical spaces. It's really hard. It's hard to feel angry, you know? Yeah. You go out, you're like, well, I'm so angry but look at the sky, though. Like,
Yep.
I also learned, I have one other answer to that, and it is from a Paulo Coelho book, and it's the Valkyries. And one of the tips that the spiritual guru gives the protagonist is like, if wherever you are, take a step back and just look out at the horizon, you'll immediately kind of pull yourself out of whatever small-minded space you're in. You know, maybe you've been looking down at your feet while you walk. Maybe you've been looking at your phone. Maybe you've just been focusing in on the details that are much more close up. But if every once in a while you just step back and look at the horizon and see the whole picture, like, you will find so much more serenity in that. So I try as much, it's like a mindfulness practice almost, just to stop myself and go like, all right, like, what's on the horizon right now? Even if it's like straight up a smokestack and litter, it doesn't matter. Like, pull back and look at the bigger picture. And that's really helpful for me.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. What you got, Eric?
All right. So,
are you going by the book?
Yeah.
You're going out of the book?
Different book than what she goes by.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Ange goes by.
He's looking in the NA step working guide.
But
so he's cheating, basically.
I am cheating. You saw me grab this book in the beginning.
I didn't know what. I thought you were just using it as a reference.
No, we're in the step working guide.
It's from NA.
Here.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't even talk about that stuff. Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned it, right, with time and how. I mean, it's kind of like this. It's more of like an abstract concept than anything else. But you know, I guess a lot of people will kind of like pray for another day clean, or you know, give thanks to their higher power, but time doesn't really give a fuck. So
True, yeah.
like it doesn't care.
It gives zero fucks.
No.
So can, like, I mean, besides the stacking each day on top of each other, can your power greater than yourself help you, you know, stay clean and sober?
Yeah. It's trusting that, because there's an action piece, right? So I have to, like, I didn't stay on step 2 for very long for a reason, because it's just coming to believe that something can help me recover. And you know, as soon as I made a decision to turn over and just like all right, I'm gonna trust that I'm in a good program. Some of it is the people around me, I'll say that. Some of that is the action, and the other it is like following the steps, following the program. Yeah, I never really thought about like where I guess the action is just like self-love and loving those around me and making sure that my actions align with that. But that is the thing. I struggle with that exact thing with the time where I was like, but then how do I, like, what's encouraging me to act right? And, you know, then I go to work and like get cussed out by a student and ask myself why I didn't cuss back at them. Oh, because like, that's not what somebody who leads with love would do. You know, and that's, you know, and because of, for a lot of reasons, that's just not the right thing to do. So like, how would somebody lead with love in that situation? Like, and this is exactly what I would do, is like step back and go like, what do you need right now? Like, what's going on? Why are you angry? Like, do you want to talk out in the hallway? Do you need a minute? Do you want to just take a walk real quick? And just kind of like, it's almost like empathy, basically, just putting myself in their shoes and going like, what would make me so mad that I had to like yell and scream at someone to feel heard? And that is, I think that right there is like a blessing of like age and wisdom, right? Because as I get older, I learn so much about people.
Yep.
Like most people really, if they're acting crazy, they really just need somebody to tell them that they matter, you know, or like that their feelings are okay and valid. Excuse me. But yeah, I guess my actions are really motivated by trying to convey love and patience and kindness. Just like I hope, you know, I hope as time passes, I'll continue to stay in the program and keep working on myself.
Yeah.
Cool.
I kind of want to answer Eric's question as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. And not like for you, Ange, but definitely like on like in your bandwagon as well. Because really, like, time is the only thing that can give you, like, what's the second half of that? It's clean time. So time is everything. Right. And like what you were talking about, like, oh, what motivates you and da-da-da-da. And what I know Eric will agree with for sure is like people that don't have a boogeyman in their spirituality, you know what I mean? They don't have that looming figure of like punishment or whatever. They do the right thing because they're just intrinsically motivated to do the right thing. And that's something that I think time lends itself to. And I think that I've never read the Big Book and We Agnostics, but like I get it. Especially because like it I think it just really plays to that intrinsic human value of doing the next right thing. And you don't always have to have that like, oh, you're going to go to hell if you don't do this hanging over your head. Some people can just do the right thing without that. And I think that's really cool about the neutrality of time, is that like it might not like send you a kind word, but it's not going to send you a negative word either. So right. It's always just going to be there. Time's always going to be there. And like, and the earliest people, what did they worship? The sun. Why? Because it was always there. Well, I mean, like, unless it was dark out, but then, you know, you just wait a little while. That's science, Eric. You're welcome.
No, but and I think like as time passes, doing the right things, like you just know, like you know better how to act because you're not, and like that is why I think surrounding yourself with the right people and continuing to do. When I say next right thing, like that is my program of recovery, and whatever that encompasses in the program of recovery is like for me, part of it is like I have to take my meds. Like that's a big part of like me staying sober is like following what a doctor tells me is right for my particular brain, and and like sometimes something happens and I have to adjust that, and that is so freaky and scary, and the only thing that I can trust to make sure like I make it out of that all right and get readjusted is time. Like it just takes time.
Yeah.
You gotta stay on the med, and you gotta just see what happens, and over time you figure out if it's the right one or not. And then you gotta wait again and wait some more and figure out. And so I just have to trust that like there's nothing I can do sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta like sit back and let time pass and just monitor where you're at. And I think with time too is like I don't have to let people walk all over me. Like, you know, even in nature, people like I have self-preservation mechanisms too. You know, some of it is like I'm not gonna give you my time of day anymore. Like bye.
Yeah.
Like you know
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch on that, just a little bit before I get to my next question. But I think that's something really not necessarily unique, but it's obviously very prevalent in recovery, is that we start becoming aware of how we utilize our time and who we allow to take up our time, because we start learning about like our own toxic natures and other people's toxic natures. So I think we're just more cognitive of what we're doing. And I know Eric is. Eric doesn't fuck around. Like I was listening to one of our podcasts the other day, and you were talking about that. You were like, I don't waste time. I mean, you do probably, but you waste less time than I do.
Okay, but that time that's being wasted was like that was scheduled time to be wasted.
Yes, exactly.
So it wasn't like, I'm just gonna waste this time. I'm like, no, I'm gonna schedule this like these 2 days to just binge watch TV because I need to like
waste time.
Yeah,
that is so lame, dude.
No, it's like recharging.
Ange, please co-sign me on this. He's totally lame.
Do you plug your phone in?
Yeah.
That's me plugging my body in. Like, and recharging myself.
All right, you son of a bitch. You just made a really good point.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll give you that. You're still like 5% lame though. Okay.
Phone metaphors though.
The phone metaphor hit it hard.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
You said 2 words that like jumped out at me immediately. As soon as you said neuroplasticity, I was like, ooh, yes, we have to talk about this. And like we have a little bit in generalities, but like so how do you utilize neuroplasticity, that skill, that practice, and really strengthen really the biggest quote unquote muscle we have is our brain? How do you strengthen that ability of neuroplasticity? Like, do you meditate? Do you do brain games? Like, what do you do, and how do you train your mind to, like you said, rewire it to what you need?
I should definitely be meditating more. Like, but I'll say this: when I first was in my first 3 months, I didn't miss a day of meditation. Nice. I was like, I'm just gonna do 10 minutes a day, and that's what I'm doing. And I did it. I think that was a big factor in my now sustained recovery because I had to retrain my brain. So the idea of neuroplasticity in and of itself is that you can change your neural pathways. Like they're bendable, they're moldable. You can grow your brain. So with a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset or a stagnant mindset,
yes.
I believe that whatever I take the time to do, and consistency is the other word I keep thinking of. It's like, it's not just taking the time to do something, but taking the time and then doing it consistently.
Yeah.
Like that's why 1 hour at a meeting, well, really if I'm doing it right and if I'm getting the most out of it, it's more like an hour 45 because it's like, 15 minutes before and half an hour after. But if I take just that much time out of my day, every day for even once a week, every week, like that the rewards like compound upon themselves because I'm retraining my brain to be social. I'm retraining my brain to think about what my life is like without alcohol and truly how much better it is. And then hearing other people's stories too of how, being sober, being in recovery is changing their lives. It's like, damn, like, I want this and I want to keep working at it. But with a growth mindset, basically it's just me going like, all right, I'm not waking up when my alarm goes off yet. Instead of going, I'm not ever going to be able to wake up when my alarm goes off. Even stuff like I'm bad at math. Like, nah, it really should be like, I cannot add in my brain yet. I'm not going to spend any time trying to do that at my age because I'm an English teacher anyway. It doesn't really fucking matter. But, like anything I want to do, like I'm just thinking of FIFA, right? That's how I recharge. I play a lot of FIFA on the PlayStation.
Love it.
I suck for a long time I was trash at certain like levels of difficulty. Like I could not beat the computer in semi-pro.
Yeah.
And now I can do it every time without fail. But it's just I had to get used to it and I had to keep on doing it and practicing. And I really thought I would never ever be able to beat the computer at that level.
It's hard. I love playing FIFA too. It's so hard. Semi-pro is ridiculous. Like I can't remember. Is it like amateur? Is like the level before that? Yeah. Is the level before
Why
that?
Why is that jump so big?
Dude, it's huge. Amateur is like friggin' cake. Like I will wipe the floor with like Netherlands with like 11-1 with like Bosnia and Herzegovina. Like I will kill like the best teams, and then you jump up to semi-pro, and then I'm on the other side of that field getting my ass whooped. But anyway,
like you're saying the exact word. I was just complaining about this to my girl yesterday. I was like, I cannot understand why amateur is literally I'm beating them 5-0 and then semi-pro I'm losing 5-0.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand.
Yeah, and I just get too mad. I still haven't made the jump to semi-pro. I like to win, and I don't like losing, and it frustrates me.
I just did like this past weekend and started, like it's not an automatic win. It is like a tie. Sometimes I'll win by 1.
So it's actually like real soccer.
All the time. Yeah, it's like real soccer. Yeah.
I don't want to play real soccer. I want to play FIFA. Damn it! I want to do outlandish ass shit and have fucking 12-1 scores that are totally impossible.
Is that 12-1?
Do trick shots and shit.
My character in story mode is fucking. He's got like 150 goals or some shit. Like
nice.
Yeah. But I mean, just basically with that is like just the belief that like with time, if you invest it, you can do anything. I mean, I think of rock climbing and muscles, and the brain is the same way. Like anything that you continuously do or continuously try to do, it just gets easier with time. And for me right now, that's not drinking today. Like I'm not gonna drink today. I didn't drink yesterday. And every day I don't do it is just like a tiny bit easier.
Yeah. Awesome. Sorry, Eric. We hijacked with FIFA.
That's all right.
Apologies.
Eric doesn't like FIFA.
FIFA's fine.
He's not a huge soccer guy. You're not. Admit it. Don't even try to deny it.
Are you a huge soccer person?
I am. Not huge. I'd say I'm moderate.
Who's your FC?
Who's my FC?
Yeah.
I say young boy.
It all depends, dude. It depends on which league you're talking about.
You don't have one.
Right now,
dude, I love Bayern Munich, but they're like they always have such a stacked team, but they play such great competition on like.
Who's your FC, Ange?
North Carolina Courage, baby, NWSL.
Nice.
They're about to win the Challenge Cup again. Yeah, they're nasty. Sam Mewis, my favorite player of all time. She's from my state. She's like fucking.
Love Sam Mewis. Oh, like if we're talking about if we're talking about national teams, dude, the U.S. women's national team, hands down, is my favorite.
Not talking about national teams.
But so she plays. Her club team is North Carolina Courage. But Rose Lavelle plays for the Washington team. Yeah, and Rose Lavelle can get it. She's amazing.
Yes,
she's nasty at soccer.
She is. we have Rose Lavelle and Mallory Pugh. On our team, I think.
I think we
have two.
You got Dunn, I'm pretty sure.
We've Dunn as well.
I think you have Dunn, but I don't know that for a fact. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. And I know that the Orlando team isn't even playing right now, so
No, I know that.
you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of a wash, but whatever.
COVID's been hard, but no, like my favorite on the team
It's been
right
so
now.
hard, yeah.
My favorite on the team right now is by far Lindsey Horan. I am a Lindsey Horanimal. Love her.
I feel like I would pay money to let her kick me in the face.
Dude, she is a beast. And like I
Her
really
legs are like literal trees.
dude, yeah, she is a savage. And like part of me really hopes Lindsey Horan hears this and like just like retweets this because it would be awesome. She
She
actually
seems so chill too. Like
she
seems so
responded to
cool.
one of my tweets one time and I felt like my heart exploded. I was like,
Oh my God, I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was like a few months after the World Cup too, so I was just super stoked about it.
Yeah, I really like Tobin Heath.
Dude,
but
Tobin Heath,
we don't
she's a
agree politically,
killer.
But she's so good. Yeah, she's just so good though. Like it's hard not to love her.
Oh yeah, like that whole team of studs. I'm sorry, Eric. We took it over.
It's okay.
Again.
So let's
We love
see.
you, U.S. Women's Nationals team. If you're out there listening,
So let's talk about the other part of the step where we talk about sanity and what has been your process.
I'm sorry. I hit the mic. It's my
okay.
first day back in the studio. I'm sorry, Eric.
It's okay. David's just fucking up all over the place over there.
I'm excited.
But yeah, what's been your process in your restoration or continued restoration of sanity?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's that great obsession, right? The delusion that we're like other people, that has to be smashed. And the idea that somehow, someday I'm going to control and enjoy my drinking is my great obsession. I want to be able to control that shit. And I wish I could drink like other people because I love it. And it fills all of the spiritual holes I have. And every time that I chase that or every time that I even seek that, I just can't stop. I cannot stop until there's spiritual intervention. And I mean, luckily the only time I went to like a rehab, like where I stayed overnight, like I did a couple of detoxes, but like the only time I did like a whole 30-day thing happened to be a program that it let us I was outside all the time and I just got to experience a lot of things and spend a lot of time with myself. And that for me was very spiritual. And so it brought me back. It brought me out of that like cycle of like, please don't let me drink today, please. And then 3 o'clock, damn, I need a beer, you know? That obsession for me, that's the insanity part. And believing that I can continue to make good choices over time has truly restored me. Like, I know that I'm not going to drink today no matter what. That is my motto. Like, I'm not going to pick up today no matter what. And as long as I remember that I said that yesterday and it worked, then I'm going to say it today and just pray that it works. Like, just hope it works.
All right. What am I going to go with? Which question? I feel like I asked my best question already with the neuroplasticity. That's such a good question.
Did you blow your lid a little too quick?
Jesus, take it down a notch over there, buddy. 10 down to a 6 over there, Eric. How have you utilized like your higher power? How have you applied time towards your like some of your later steps? Really, like what comes to mind is like 6 and 7 with like your shortcomings, character defects. How have you called upon time to really be a factor in that change? But sort of, and like I kind of want to know like the short term and the long term.
Okay, I can definitely speak on the short term. You know, it's a process for me right now, and I'm working on my 4th step, but I have done a 6th step before. The thing is, I'm already kind of keeping tabs on my defects, if you would. as time has passed for me in recovery, I realized like, oh, I have like way more to work on than I anticipated. You know, this is like, and things come up. And so my job is to pay attention to those things and work on them. Just today I had 2 or 3 moments of growth, you know, things that, and I do have to say to my partner, you know, like, I know like I haven't, because I like to do things like in arguments, I'll say things like always and never. And if you ever been in an argument with a significant other, you don't do that shit. Because oh really, I never, oh really, I always, like, oh damn, you're right, my bad. So that is a thing, like that's a really specific example from today, but that's the thing I'm working on, is I'm working on taking that out of my vocabulary. So part of it is, like, I lean on the people around me and say like, hey, like, another thing I do, and I don't know, I hope this doesn't come across on the show, but I will do like, kind of like negs, but not really, like, kind of like backhanded compliments almost to my family. Like when we're in like family Zoom, like I'll try to like make fun of people in a way that I think is funny, and I think it's mad funny. But for the longest time, I just didn't pay attention to what the other person's reaction was. And I started paying attention. I realized like shit that I thought was mad funny, the other person did not like they were not into it. And so I've started to notice that and kind of, you know, reel it in, not blow my lid, if you would. Sorry. And no, but just to step back and go like, all right, this is something I need to work on, and it's going to take time like everything else. But now as time passes in sobriety, I realize, okay, yeah, this is what I have to work on. Maybe next week I'll find out some new thing I have to work on. So my role is paying attention and just like, and taking the time to work on it. You know, if I don't do a daily reflection in the morning, then my day's kind of messed up. So I have to trust myself and be consistent to do that same thing every morning, so that I don't do something like start yelling or whatever, or, you know, make an inappropriate comments or whatever my character defect happens to be. Usually it's just like me not thinking before I speak and not having a filter. And that is something that, like, I hope as time goes, I can figure out how to put just a couple more thoughts between what I think and what I say. Like, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I comment on that, Eric?
Go ahead.
Am I allowed to? All right. Do either of you know about 200% accountability? Eric? No?
What?
I don't think so.
Have you ever heard of 200% accountability?
No.
Okay, so it really goes along with like what you were just talking about. So 200% accountability, which is something that I've learned about in just like the last few months, and I've actually read a lot into it, and it's changed a lot how I approach what I think about and what comes out of my mouth specifically, because. So the first 100% is I'm responsible for all those words that come out of my mouth, but how you receive them, I'm also responsible for that as well. And that's where that 200% accountability comes from, because I can say something to Eric, and normally it would be like, oh, I'm going to say this, and this is like my truth or whatever, and you're going to take it, and that's your business. But it's not. It's my business. Because I said that to you. So I have to take accountability for what I said to you. And even though like things I say might have the intent of one thing, though, like the approach and the impact can totally get changed through the filter of the other person. And even though I meant it as something funny, but it hurts them, I'm responsible for them getting hurt. And that's something that's really changed in like my mind, and it's something I think about a lot, and just something I wanted to share with both of you. Eric, you don't really have a problem with that. You're not particularly controversial.
Nope. Except
well, you're controversial, but you're not verbally reckless like I used to be.
Verbally reckless. Like.
You're so controversial, though.
Yes. Oh, he'll ask the tough questions that you might not like, and he'll poke you a little bit.
Oh, lit.
Eric likes to be that guy.
I mean,
good. We need you.
We do need you. He asks the really good questions. I just ask the fun questions.
I'm just living my truth, you know.
I'm just living my truth.
Home sweet home.
Says the guy with 3 cats.
Yeah, what's wrong with 3 cats? You know,
Nothing. I guess.
right, Elliot? All right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, who has a cat named Elliot? That's so weird.
I do.
I know you do.
Your cat's named after the dude.
Yeah, he's the dude. So whenever he does something awesome, I'm like,
hilarious.
dude, way to go. Or if he fucks up, I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? It's a perfect name for a cat.
Oh yeah.
Or El Duderino, his dudeness.
This dudeness.
Yeah, you can call him whatever you want.
That's hilarious.
All right, so we talked about the chapter of the agnostics in the big book, and we probably have different views on that, but nonetheless, how are you demonstrating open-mindedness today in your recovery towards not only to both parts of step 2, the restoration of sanity, and how you can go about different methods or modes of restoring yourself to sanity, but also in coming to believe in a power greater than yourself? How do you maintain and continue your open-mindedness to continue on that path of step 2?
Okay. I think yeah. I don't know if this makes sense as an answer, but I think my first instinct is to say that it's just playing the tape back and remembering where I was and where I am now. And therefore I have no evidence that what I'm doing and my belief in the higher power I have isn't working. Everything that I've accomplished till today tells me that it is so much better when I'm living, under the basically the will of a higher power. Obviously, it's my job. I make my own choices. So since turning over my will and, first coming to believe and then turning over my will, since making those decisions, my life has only gotten better. Like, I have so much more agency. So I guess, that's my first thing is, as I look back, there's really no reason I have not to continue to trust. You know what else too is I just keep getting proof of it. Like, I was supposed to get this job. I did 3 rounds of interviews. I'm trying to get out of teaching, and I promised myself that if I still wanted to get out of teaching after 1 year sober, that I would do it. And it was like halfway through the year, and I was like, I cannot teach another damn day. I might drink over it. I was just so I had 6 or 7 months, and I was like, all right, I might as well start making moves now. I'm pretty sure that I hate this forever. And I had an interview, had a second interview, had a third interview, was told I probably pretty much have the job. And then in the last interview, he goes, all right, you're gonna go get quarried. And I go, I should probably tell you, I do have a misdemeanor on my record that I pled guilty to. It was I got in an argument with a cop, and he wasn't very happy about it. And I was drunk. It was from 5 years ago. I wouldn't definitely have not acted that way today, but
It is what it is. It happens.
It is what it is, right? I wasn't alone to blame in that situation. I just happened to be the one that walked away with the record. So I was honest about it because it was giving me so much anxiety to lie about it. And I ended up not getting the job. And I was so mad that I was like, damn it, why didn't I just lie? And because I was honest, I didn't get a job that I inevitably would have been laid off from because of COVID. So instead of having no job and getting collected unemployment, because I wouldn't have even been there for 30 days and when everything shut down.
Yeah.
So I maintained my teaching job. I got to teach from home. I still had benefits. I'm still getting paid right now because of the way the paychecks work. I've basically been able to work from home. I have a sober podcast now, and I'm so blessed that I'm actually so blessed I didn't get that job.
Yeah.
It's just another example of piece of evidence that everything happens for a reason. And as pissed as I was, I did the right thing by being honest. and it kind of saved me. Like now I have a job. Like I still have a job for the fall. I'm applying to new ones and everything, but I get to do it on my time and really take time to think about what I want to do and stuff. So I guess just keep it. I continuously have proof that things are going to work out in the best way.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think can I ask one more?
Yeah.
One more? Okay. All right. So how much have you read about synchronicity at all?
Synchronicity. Is this like a universe
Yes.
thing?
Yes.
Okay. Is this like when you see patterns in things because you want to?
No. I mean, like some people I guess can take it that way. But no, from what I've read about it for like several years, and like I've read several books about it. I read articles, and there's different ways to interpret it, but for them, like to boil it down to like layman's terms, it's like when things happen when they're supposed to. And like, because when you were just telling that story about the job, like that really struck that chord of synchronicity. I think it's something that could really like benefit you to like really look into and read into, especially with time being your higher power, because it's basically, the way I take it is the universe has like specific ways of operating. It's just the way it is. And when you act intentionally and think intentionally and like put those intentions out to the universe, and just like you said, just do the footwork, the little day by day things, that those little pieces of that grand plan eventually get put into place one by one, and then it happens exactly when it's supposed to. Like,
yeah.
And so I guess my question is like what do you think about that? What do you think about like that principle of basically the universe coming to you when it's right in like the grand scheme?
Yeah, I mean, so part of me goes like, I hate anything hokey, and I don't want to be, because like my mom will do this thing, and it really irks me when I call, and every time I call, anytime I call, it doesn't matter what, she answers, and she goes, oh my God, this is so weird, I was just thinking about you.
Oh.
And it gets me so mad, because I'm like, really, like every time I call, you were just thinking about me. Yeah. And I guess I kind of have to believe it, because like, but it's just not annoying. Like, or she'll do like, I have a lot of family members that do this thing where they're like, I found a penny, that means that, you know, Grandpa was thinking about me, you know, stuff like that. And that shit really irks me. Like, it really, I don't want to be like, that's not what that means. It means there's mad pennies on the ground.
Yeah.
But, like,
yeah, exactly.
So stuff, I do kind of resist certain things like that. But on the other hand, I know that when I start asking for things, things come my way.
Yeah.
So I've been being more open about wanting a new job, and because of that, people are sending me job listings they think might apply to me. And that's like opening me up to like other, like maybe I would be good at that. You know what I'm saying? So like as long as part of it is like asking for help.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime I've actually asked for help, I've gotten what I was looking for. Yeah. You know, when I try and do things on my own, it never works out. Like it might work out in like the worst way. And the only thing that's been consistently successful for me about like putting pieces into place has been like reaching out, asking for help, and not stopping until I get like what I'm looking for, basically. Yeah. So I do think a lot of it has to do with the action on my end. Like, am I making the choices? Am I making it known to the universe that I want this thing? AKA, am I making it known to the people around me that I want this thing? And then just having patience, like right now I'm in that weird limbo where I had some interviews, but it was like the initial stage ones, and I'm just waiting to hear back. And I have no idea which one is going to even, or if any.
I know.
I don't want to keep applying if one of them's going to stick. So it's just having to step back and go, like, I literally have no control over this. Like, I did my part. So I guess the only thing I can keep doing is to keep applying until one is like fully locked down, just to have a backup plan, because that's the smart thing to do. But yeah, I love that concept though, and I wrote that down. I'm going to try and read more about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like the way that it, like, to keep it in like really the moment, like when I think about like I don't do that hokey shit where like, oh, I see the repeating numbers or pennies, and like anybody who's out there, like, I'm not calling your shit hokey. It's just not for me. Like, if that's what you believe in, by all means, and if it works for you, by all means do that. I don't believe that, but like you, Eric, and I being on this call right now is I think of it as more of like a mathematical, scientific like thing. Like, what are the odds that these three people would be on this podcast right now? Like, and that's the collection of so many little moments that Eric put together, I put together, and you put together to just put us into this situation. And that's what I mean about like synchronicity. Like the odds are just unbelievable. And it's just a collective moments.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just it blew my mind last time that you guys are in Baltimore, because that is where I laid the bricks in my foundation. Like, that's where the cornerstone went in for me in recovery. And I knew so many people there. And I remember actually in rehab, this dude, I almost just said his name, but this dude that I met in Baltimore.
You can say his first name.
We were in a rehab together. In Ed, yeah. And we were in a rehab together in fucking Massachusetts.
That's crazy.
And like we were sitting there going like, you look so familiar. He's like, yo, you look so familiar. And then I'm like, wait, was your home group over at, oh dang, now I can't remember what it is. But like, he was like, yeah, like something in Lutherville or whatever. And it was just like, yo, like, how did we end up at the same rehab, girl?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy, because we were both sober too. It's even weirder,
And that's what I sort of mean about synchronicity. It's not necessarily coincidence, but it's like the result of a whole bunch of inner workings of the universe. Like, the stuff we do aligns with the stuff that other people do, and it all just sort of flows together. And the right things happen at the right times. Like, I met my wife like when I at Starbucks. Like, she was my barista, and now I'm married to her. Like, what are the odds of that? It's crazy. And I met my very special co-host Eric just at a meeting one day, just randomly, because he was just doing the right thing in recovery, and I miss him.
That's what's up.
That's all I got.
My fiance was my high school sweetheart, and we were together for 3 years. We broke up for 7 years and did not talk in those 7 years, and I basically never thought we would talk again. And then she happened to have gone through a breakup. I went through a breakup, and like a couple months after, I messaged her, and then it was just timing. Like, now we're still together.
Yeah. See?
Like, we didn't talk for 7 years. Like, that's just crazy. Yeah.
We don't know what time is going to do to us all. What you got, Eric?
I know, it's crazy.
I know, time blows my fucking mind.
I think we're about out of time.
We're about out of time?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are about out of time, so we would like to thank our guest, Ange, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And if I can, real quick, I want to plug, I have a podcast called Sober During Crisis.
Absolutely.
If you want to be on it, hit me up. Always looking for new guests. We just have goofy conversations about how we're staying sober during this COVID stuff.
Where can they find you?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, everything. My personal stuff is Ange Buxton. I'm a stand-up comedian. And then the podcast is Sober During Crisis, and that's streaming anywhere you get a podcast, basically.
Awesome. All right. Well, we would like to thank you again for joining us. And I can't remember. Do we do the sign out on these? We do? All right. So, all right. quick sign out. Here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. And if you like what you hear on Sober During Crisis, and definitely here on Podcast Recovery and the meeting after the meeting, check out our PayPal, our Patreon. I got it this time, Eric. Yeah, there we
Venmo.
go. And our Venmo. I know, but I forgot Patreon the last time.
5-star rating. Give this a 5-star rating, y'all.
Yeah, help us out. We need new mic stands, people. Help us out. But check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go for more information about Carly, Eric, Allie, and myself. Go to podcastrecovery.com. But most importantly, everybody out there, stay safe and stay clean.